My internship experience was driven by all of the new changes in Baltimore County Public Schools, specifically the changes in curriculum for first grade. I realized that not only did the fluctuating first grade curriculum not have many supplemental materials to use for students to practice their skills, but there were plans in the works for all BCPS students to get technology devices. With those two facts coupled together, along with my previous knowledge of web game-based learning, I decided to create a teacher and student online game-based resource collection that could be used in the classroom. In addition, I decided to document my process in creating these resources so that it could be shared with others who were interested in creating their own collections. After surveying teachers to gauge their interest level, I decided to create two collections, one for first grade phonics and one for first grade reading. I chose Symbaloo as my collection platform, and after searching through online games and playing hundreds of them, I began to document the process I was following, as well as document the specific criteria that I was looking for in a game. Let's take a look at the process and criteria that I created. Here we have the process for my game-based learning resource collection. First, in the process, you have to identify the subject that you would like to have the games for example, English or phonics or math. Then you need to, number two, identify the standard that you want to meet. That obviously connects with the Common Core state standards. Third, you'll identify the game that will be used and how the game will be used in instruction. So for example, are you going to be using it for small groups? Are you using it for independent work? Are the students using it to practice for the first time, or are they struggling with the skill? So you need to think about how it will be used in instruction. Fourth, you'll have to create a folder to store all of the links that you are collecting and also create a document for your game summaries. The next part is the part that gets a little fun, and you get to locate the websites. So my suggestions are to use a search engine, for example Google, to find sites. Now the terms that you'll want to use are whatever your learning topic is, for example phonics or short vowel sounds, and include game or online game and learning game, as well as your grade level. Then you'll open the game links in a new tab, and then you get to start evaluating them. For the evaluation, you'll use the game criteria that I created, which we'll go over in a moment. Number 8, you'll store the links in a folder for appropriate games, so not all of the games that you play are going to end up going in there. Number 9, you'll write a short summary with the game title and link for future teacher reference. You'll see an example of what I mean by that in a few minutes when I go over that. You'll also want to highlight the keywords. Number 10, you'll create the student Symbaloo based on the standards. And 11, you'll add the links and teacher resource page summaries into the Symbaloo. The next piece that I wanted to talk about was the game criteria that I created. First, I created the items that each game must have. It must connect to the Common Core state standards. It must be free and contain no questionable ads, especially in BCPS. It's accessible through the BCPS network. It's engaging and interactive, motivating. The information in the game itself is accurate. You don't have miscalculations or just inaccurate information that you'll end up giving to the students. It must be grade level appropriate, and the usability and technical performance must be there as well. I then decided on several aspects that games may contain, and this one you need to think about what works best for your situation and what you want out of the game. For example, do you want it to keep track of a score? Do you want the directions to be read aloud? Do you want it to provide feedback for the students? Do you want it to be visually stimulating? Working consistently is an important factor, but it doesn't always have to be the end-all be-all. Clarity of pronunciation, for example, I have BBC has a lot of great games, but there's an accent involved that might confuse the students. In addition, you may want options for difficulty for your students. So as you can see, the process and criteria can be quite lengthy. But now let's take a look at the completed Symbaloo pages, and that will make it all make a little bit more sense. Okay, so here we have another set of my deliverables, the Symbaloo resource pages. What you're looking at right now is the phonics games Symbaloo. This is what the students will see on their screen when you give them the link through whatever method that you choose to do so. The first thing I would like to explain are this area here. These are the game links for the students, which I'll come back to in a moment. This button right here, that's the link for the phonics games teacher resource page that you click and will be brought up. I created this through a Google Doc, which just links very nicely into it. And as it waits to come up, you can see that it's sorted by the game summaries and objectives. You can see that each game is grouped under a common core standard, for example right here. It's also color-coded by learning skill type, as well as each game is summarized too. Down here you can see that some of the summaries are longer, some are shorter. In addition, each keyword is highlighted so that teachers scrolling through the resource pages can see and find more easily the skills that they would like their students to practice. And you can see I have this set up for phonics skills, all with the Common Core state curriculum in mind, just to give you an idea of the summaries that were involved in this activity. You can see the color coding, and you can also see how I have different terms highlighted for easy access for the teachers. These pages can be used by the teacher in order to assign independent practice. The games can be used as an introduction to a skill, as practice, or even as an assessment piece. So these Symbaloo pages themselves were created with students in mind and should be easy for them to navigate. The tiles are color-coded, just like they were on the teacher resource page. And that's so that the teachers can tell their students what color or skill they'd like them to play or work on. They can also tell their students what specific game or games that they'd like them to play. In addition, the tiles are also grouped together by Common Core state standards so that teachers can more easily locate the specific games. You can see the pictures match, as well as the state standards underneath them. All that you have to do is the student just has to simply click on the tile and it brings them up to their next game, which I'm not going to get into right now. But all of the links are working, which is one of the criteria. Let's take a quick look at the reading games for first grade. You can see that I have a separate teacher resource page for this. With different skills, as well as different Common Core state standards that connect with it. You have the reading categories as well as your state standards. And then once again, all of the games are written with the link underneath of them, as well as containing the highlighted words so that teachers can more easily locate what they'd like their students to be practicing. This also makes it easier when the link is right there for the teacher. It makes it easier for the teachers to go directly to that website just to see what it is instead of having to go through and navigate the Symbaloo itself. They can see the summary and they can go right to that game that's linked right inside this teacher resource page. In addition, the way that it's set up is this is a easily editable document that you can continue to add to as you find and locate new games. And you can see once again for the reading games, they're sorted in the same way by the Common Core State Standard with pictures and by color for the students to understand. So the Symbaloo resource collection pages were the first main deliverables that I created along with the process and criteria. The second main deliverable for my internship was the professional development at my school that will cover several topics such as game-based learning, using game-based learning in the classroom, taking a tour of my completed Symbaloos for first grade, and sharing the process and criteria needed in creating game-based resources. In addition, during this professional development, time will be given for teachers to create their own game-based resource collection that they will be able to use in their own classrooms, as well as share with other teachers that teach the same grade level, and the same content area. And this is just a slide from the beginning of my professional development that I planned. So finally, to wrap up this video presentation, not only was this internship experience a positive one for myself, it also allowed others to learn more about game-based learning, which was also a main objective of mine. Hopefully they will be able to take their knowledge and resources and share them with others so that game-based learning can continue to grow in BCPS classrooms as well as elsewhere. Thank you.